Goody.
Yeah, but I think like as soon as she can get out of it, yeah.
Gary, what's happening? We're good?
All right, here we
Okay.
go. We got our music muted.
Yeah. We have to.
Here's the beauties of doing everything's live and in person and across the country. We got a great team meeting, my friends, for March, and there's lots of really cool things happening today. We've got, I'm going to say we are very honored to have a very special guest jump on with us at the very beginning, Colin, Jen. What do you say about that?
Whatever you said, I agree with because we because we lost you there for a second, so you nailed it.
Yeah, that's it was, deep, it was heartwarming. It was from, from the soul.
I could see that.
Excellent. What I was saying, and if anyone else in here, I'm excited about our very cameo appearance guest, our honored guest right off the top is where I was going with that. We're going to talk about a number of different things today. Of course, we've got some updates with what's going on for the spring and Red Day and everything like that. We thought we would spend a little bit of time jumping into AI, and I know AI is the buzzword, and you might be sick of it, or you might be completely the opposite and interested and waist deep into it. So we're going to talk a kind of a high level view of how you perhaps can use AI in your business today if you're not already doing so. And of course we've got our mortgage broker and our update from our broker record team and all sorts of stuff. I just saw a message here, and it's from our mortgage broker, Nicole. Sarah, if you can forward Nicole the link while I'm on screen here, that would be excellent. I'd really appreciate that. If not, I can do that in just a second. Colin, Jen, what is going on?
What is going on? We're starting to see spring somewhat come to the market. Megan and I were chatting earlier. We're starting to see a few multiple offers. We're starting to see more showing as a brokerage. We're starting to see more showings, just a uptick of showings in our brokerage. We're also seeing that across Streb. So clear indication that the spring market is starting. I guess everyone here was just waiting for the snow to melt before they come out of their somewhat of their cocoon. But as agents, regardless of where this market is, I think we have to find a way to win in this market because a lot of us are doing this for a family so that we can create a bigger life for our families and just the people in our community. And they don't care that there's a president in the US that you might not agree with. They don't care about a president in a prime minister in Canada that you have different political views with. You have to find a way to win in this market because people or agents are going out there and they're going to win. And this real estate is a zero-sum game. Somebody will get that listing and someone will not get that listing. And you have to decide, regardless of what is going on in the industry, I choose to win for my family, I choose to win for my community, and I just choose to win. It's not okay for us to sit down and hope that this spring market you're going to do well. You have to choose to win, and you're going to have to get out there and fight. Not physically fight, you don't want that, but you're going to have to fight, and that means it might be changing some habits as well. Do I now dive into AI? It's something that I've been putting off for the longest while. Do I now learn so that I can leverage AI to communicate with everyone in my database and find out leads in there? And Gary's going to touch on that today. But you have to make that decision to win because you have a leadership team behind you and supporting you because we truly believe in you. But this is where you have to put in your work and you have to play your part. We truly believe in you. However, you have to step up because this market, we're going to have winners and we're going to have losers in this market. And I choose for every one of our agents to win. And I see that in you. I trust that you see that in yourselves. Sorry, I'm off my soapbox now, Gary.
No, we like it, Jen. We like it. Jen, I'm always reminded when we have conversations like this, something Gary Keller would say, and he's been saying it for years, especially in a down market. The market share you take today in a down market, you never relinquish.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I think about that all the time too, Gary. It's like, what can I do today in this challenging market so that in the future my business always prospers because of the actions of today, right? Instead of going, I talk to agents every single day, and the amount of agents I talk to that say, I'm not showing up right now, I'm not working right now, I'm not calling my database right now, there's no point, the market sucks, there's no business to be had. It's constant. I don't have any support. I don't know what to do. I don't have the right systems. We hear it. I hear it every single day. And when we talk to them about just tapping into your database and starting at a base level, all of a sudden this energy comes back that they go, oh, okay, I can do that. I can start there and then I can grow forward. And if they can just do that right now, if you can just go and talk to the people you already know, you will gain the market share that all of those agents who are sitting at home saying the market sucks, so I'm not going to show up, they're giving it to you. It's one of the best opportunities we will have and have had in our industry since the 90s. And the narrative around agents is there's no point. And it makes no sense because right now is the entire point so that you get to win for the next 10 or 15 years. But you've got to be willing to do the work now. And that's the hard part because it's not easy and it doesn't come fast. So it doesn't, you don't work and then a deal shows up. You have to work and work and work and work. And then maybe you get a little piece of the pie, but that compounds over time. And if you understand that that's what you're doing, then it becomes a lot easier to show up every day than just looking at it and going, well, I knocked on doors and nobody hired me. So that doesn't work. The market sucks. I'm going home, which is what is a lot is happening right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Take the chance now to get your piece of the pie because in 5 to 10 years, you're going to be so grateful that you did because it will get a lot easier.
I love this. This is the best part, my friends. This is completely unscripted for the last since we started, and it's kind of like whenever we sit down, and this is similar. And I guess what we're doing here, without realizing it, and as I acknowledge it, is really what top producing agents, business owners do is they mastermind about it and talk about, okay, what can I do today? We know where the market is, and if we had thought about it, we would give you 3 things you can go do right now in your business. But here's the thing, my friends. Nicole's coming on in a few minutes. Darren's coming on in a few minutes, and there's going to be other pieces throughout today's meeting. You'll be able to implement 1, 2, or 3 things and take that. Take something from today's meeting and connect with your client. I know everyone's thinking right now of a client that they should connect with because A, they got to do a follow-up or they haven't talked to them in such a long time. And I know you'll get something out of today's meeting that you can just touch on, whether it's just, hey, how you doing? Or you take something from Nicole and there's some tangible insight that she gives us today that is relevant to your client. Reach out with that piece. I guess my message to you is reach out to one of your clients today and implement something. Okay. I love this. Colin, set this up. Invite our friend Steph on stage.
You should have seen the look on her face. Come on, first Steph.
Just invite Steph to come talk with us.
That social media, she wasn't ready. Yeah, that was Steph. You're among family. We're good. We love you. So we have Steph here. Steph had a great idea just to talk about some of the cool things that is happening in the office that she wants to share with each and every one of our agents. So go ahead, Steph.
Well, I guess it's kind of on theme of what you guys have been talking about, the market and everything. And just, we know the market's down, but we want to know you all to know that we're all showing up for you. We are dedicated. We meet every week. I don't know a leadership team or a staff that is more dedicated to all of your success right now. We're trying to improve things, like the office updates. We're making this a great, productive environment for you all to come and enjoy and be fruitful. So please, we're so grateful for you all to be with us on this journey. And, we're just looking for this to be a fantastic year. However we end it, we're so glad we're going to end it with you guys.
Way to go, Steph. And now she runs off stage. But I wanted you to stay a little bit longer, Steph. Steph is very fearful of speaking in public. And I recognize and acknowledge that you're pushing yourself beyond your boundaries so that you can stretch. And this is what we're asking every one of our agent partners to do. It might feel uncomfortable. It might feel uncomfortable to go knock on that door, to pick up the phone and call that client that you haven't spoken to in 4 years. It might feel uncomfortable, but just like Steph, let's just stretch a little bit beyond that. And Steph, you did such an amazing job here. Like, we love you. So honored to be in business with you. Thank you. Gary,
Good.
back to you.
All right, my friends. Let's get into what we've got planned for today, and hopefully my screen is being shared, and I believe it is. Jen, we got to welcome one of our new agents to our KWRC family.
We do, yeah. Scott Stevens just joined us at the beginning of March there, and a shout out to Kelly for speaking so highly of us, and she's been with us in the fall as well. And yeah, we're excited to get working with Scott and help him build his business. And I know we got a few more names coming that I'm sure will be on the April board as well. But yeah, super pumped to work with another great agent who, is excited to build his business at KWRC.
I know Scott's heard this 1,000 times, but if you're a hockey fan, that's a great name. Great name. I can't wait to meet you, Scott. Excellent. Let's highlight our top producers here for the month of February, Jen.
Yeah, absolutely. So top producers for GCI February, we've got Bart Dresba, Tim Kapp, Melissa Bachman, Justina Corlin, Pune Godrat, Matt DeBerry, Alexander Schlew, Anisha Scott, Raya Lopiza, and Megan Waller. Congratulations.
And Megan's face, Megan is like, I'm at the top of the list. You should, y'all should take a video. Yeah. Well done, Megan. Well done.
That's what hard work does, Megan. Excellent. And to all our friends there. And for our teams, Colin, you take this one.
All right, the Silver Nickel team, Bongard team, and number one, the Terry Hastings team. Congratulations to each and every one of you guys. You've continued to crush it in a challenging market. Well done.
Excellent, my friends. You too can be on the leaderboard with just a little bit of work and grit and talking with your clients. These teams and agents, I can tell you, their business would not be where it's at if they have not been diving into their sphere of influence and so on. So make sure you do that. And if you want to learn how to get on that and what they're doing to make that happen, just go talk to them. Take them for a coffee or take them for something. Add value to their lives. They'll add value to yours, I know. We're going to jump in and we're going to invite our broker team to come on up, Darren, and talk about what's going on in the world of compliance and everything else. But I can tell you that Darren and the team have set up a really cool system for us. Some of us, we've already been on it for many years with FinTracker, and I know you want to dive deeper into that, Darren. I'm going to hand it over to you and Gail.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you. So we've been having this huge focus. The last few meetings we've talked about it is FinTrack compliance, and that's why we partnered with FinTracker and the AML group to continue to ramp up and refine our compliance programs. The FinTracker app is what we're going to be focusing on today, in the sense that if you haven't registered on that app yet, please do so. It's going to be it's not going to be. It is mandatory now to use the FinTracker app for all the FinTrack documents. If you want to download it on the App Store or the Google Play Store, you can also even just go to their website, FinTracker. Just type in FinTracker, it'll take you to their site, and it'll have those QR codes as well to be able to download the app and fill it out. Simply make sure you put our office phone number in there and then your details and which board you're in. You can go, when you go to their website also, there's a whole tutorials page that tells you how to register for the app, fill it out, and also any one of the forms as well. And their support is excellent. So I encourage you to go through the tutorials. And if you do have something come up that you don't know about, just give them a call. They answer quickly. They get you through the issue right away. We're here to support you as well, of course, but that would be your first point for support on the app. The benefit of the FinTracker app is like there's multiple, right? So obviously you can do a remote verification. I think it costs $2.99. Well, you get a few free, and then after that it's $2.99. You don't even have to meet with your clients. Sends them a link. It'll verify their ID, makes them take photos, all that stuff, cross-reference with their ID. And then you can just fill out the questionnaire after speaking with your clients and rate them that way. Or if you do it in person, again, it's just scanning the email, it's scanning their ID. It puts all their details in there. Then you put the transaction address, all that stuff, and fill it out. And it completes both the FinTrack ID forms that you need, would be obviously the individual ID as well as the PEP HIO. CREA, even though those questions are duplicated on both the individual ID and then the PEP, for some reason, CREA still wants us to fill out both those forms. I don't know why, they're duplicates. But nonetheless, if you do it through the FinTracker app, it all comes together.
I've heard there are changes coming to the forms.
Oh,
So
good.
I don't know when, but let's hope.
So those will be updated automatically, so you won't have to worry about that. But there's one time-saving step right there. Secondly, it does what's called the AML, anti-money laundering search for you. And what that does is it'll flag clients if they're on any type of warnings list and all that stuff. And then from there, you'll be doing some additional verifications. You can speak to that a little bit, but from there, you have to confirm whether it is that person or not. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's a suspicious transaction either, but there's steps there that we have to take that this app helps you with. Once you have that ID made, you can use that ID again for another transaction. So you've listed their home for sale. Instead of having to redo the whole thing, you can actually take that and bring it into another transaction. So that's another time saving. And it does that AML check, not only initially when you do it, but it also does it every year for an additional 4 years. And that, believe it or not, is one of our obligations for FinTrack, is to update your client's information and or see if they're on a list for the next 5 years. So that's pretty crazy stuff, but nonetheless, the app takes care of all of it. Right?
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
For anyone who has been using the app for a few years, which I know a lot of us have been, it's only in the last month or a few weeks that our brokerage and Colin have subscribed to the more beefed up version of FinTracker, which does all these much deeper level of checks. So this is making us all more compliant. And these are the checks that must be done. And if you are, lifting your head out of your bed every morning, that FinTrack is making examples of realtors and real estate brokerages right now. They're coming after us for not being compliant. This is not a time to be cutting any corners. You're going to be seeing a lot coming from our team to make sure you're all equipped. And this is why Colin has agreed to subscribe to this premium version of the FinTracker app. So everything is done. It's really, really important.
Yeah, it's been a huge undertaking and a lot of time and effort, a lot of learning. Like I said, we're here to support you with questions and stuff like that, but you bear with us because we're going through this learning curve too. But I've found that the app is excellent. It's been around for a long time, and I only really started using it a few years ago, and I wish I had done it earlier because it's so much easier instead of filling it out all online or whatever. Way easier.
So there's some questions that Darren and I have been getting rolling in. You guys will get clients who are flagged as high risk, or they get an AML warning, anti-money laundering AML. You will get clients that are flagged. That doesn't mean it is your client who is high risk or there's a problem. It means, well, actually, you've got a great example of a client. You had one returned last year.
Well, it was a couple of years ago, but in the past, when you use the app and you did a remote version, because my clients are up in Huntsville, if you did a remote one, it did the AML check. And it came back as a warning. And I looked at it and I called her about it, but it was a similar name, not the exact same name. And it wasn't somebody who wasn't related at all. But nonetheless, it gave me that opportunity to double check with the client. It's not the same person. Then you add in the app, it's not the same person. Or even if it is the same person, you register that and whatever. Sometimes it'll come up as politically exposed. If someone works for the government, someone's a judge, someone like that, it'll get, flagged in there too. Doesn't mean that we have to file a suspicious transaction report, and it doesn't mean that the transaction's in jeopardy either. It's just, it's compiling data that FinTrack maintains, and they get that data from us, from lawyers, from insurance companies, from banks, from all kinds of financial institutions. And if they see patterns that might be worrisome for them, that's when they start to investigate. So we don't trigger any investigations, anything like that, but that's the responsibility we have with that.
Yep.
I don't think there's really much else to talk about, but if you haven't registered it on the app yet, please do. We use the March 1st cutoff for using that as mandatory. So there might be some stuff that you had done during March that was before you use this app. We're asking you guys to go back and redo those forms through the app.
Also receipt of funds.
And receipt of funds. So
Through
it's
the
not
app.
just ID, right? Anything that's FinTrack, receipt of funds, individual IDs, corporate IDs, beneficial ownership
Yep.
forms, all of that gets done through the FinTracker app. Okay, it's a great safeguard. It's a great time saver. Well, it's mandatory, so I wouldn't just recommend it. It's mandatory. So, but again, any questions, reach out to us. But their support is excellent as well. Okay, so we're going to have continued education about all this. There's tons of tutorials on there that will explain it. Oh, and when you are filling it out, you may have some clients that might question, well, why do you need all this, right? There's actually, when you put their email address in there, you have an option to put their email address on there and send the disclosure or the reasons for it. It gives them information as to why we require this information. So you don't even need a script. You can just send that and it'll explain it to them if they have some concerns about sharing some of their information. Right. So again, it's mandatory to get what we call source account information. Where is the money coming from? They want to track money is exactly what they want to do. So if they don't want to share that, I've had one client, I think in all my years, that didn't want to do it. You just put a note in there that didn't want to do it. However, what we have seen sometimes in the industry, not so much in this office, but in other offices, I've seen this, where you come across the same agent having that same issue on every single trade. So that means that the agent either doesn't want to ask the question, doesn't feel like asking the question, or just chooses that it's not his responsibility or her responsibility. And quite frankly, it is.
And it can trigger a suspicious transaction report if it's not put in there. So you're really best to get that account number.
Yeah. And when it comes to the account number, it's the account or accounts that it came from. And if somebody else submits the deposit, then you have to ID that person in that receipt of funds. And it could be multiple accounts, right? They might be taking some money out of a line of credit. They might be taking some money out of savings or wherever, but you have to document each and every one of those. And there is a portion where it talks about trust fund, stuff like that. You can skip that part of things because we're not noting which trust fund it goes into. Like, especially if you're delivering it to another office, you don't need their trust account info. So.
And if you have a listing and you have an SRP making the purchase, we need to do a receipt of funds on that too.
Yeah. Okay. Those are the requirements. We're having fun working through it. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Excellent, my friends. Thanks for that. Good stuff. Good stuff. And speaking of compliance, everything else, we have our mortgage, our preferred legal team, our legal corner, Simona and Mayfair Law Group. Reach out to them for any questions about your clients, and you want to do. You need to leverage them for your clients' closings. Please do so. I've done it. Excellent experience from my clients' perspective, and of course from my perspective too. I just sent them the paperwork, and they took care of everything. And I got to tell you, it was not an easy. We think it's an easy transaction, but there was a lot of moving parts, and they took care of it seamlessly. And my clients raved about it. Excellent stuff. This is something that we are underutilizing as a KWRC family, is the KW and the Canva connection. And we as KWRC or as Keller Williams agents, we have Canva for free, the Canva Pro. So if you're already paying for it, you can look at this and you can have it free. There's a lot of really great features within using the KW version of it. Nothing changes apart. You get all the additional listing templates, flyers, postcards, social media graphics, all sorts of stuff. And it's really beneficial for us as realtors to use that. And there are new templates being uploaded and created almost daily. So if you're not into that, you can scan the QR code there. If you need help, reach out and we can certainly help and guide you to get you onto that KW Canva account. But my friends, take advantage of what you have in front of us. Okay, we know, and I have a video here, but I'm going to skip the video. I'll put it in our Facebook group. What you missed at family reunion. And one of the big things is that vision speech. And you know, if you recall from last month, our team meeting was literally a day or two after the family reunion and the vision speech. And we talked a lot about the stats and what's going on in the market, and maybe more importantly, Gary Keller's view on it. And if you've been following Gary Keller for the last little while, or 10 years, or 15 years, or 25 years, you know that a lot of people will go to him for his insight because he sees trends and things that are happening that perhaps aren't always there, that we don't see very clearly. You can go download that full deck. You can watch that vision speech online and among many other things. And it's really insightful and very important to you as a business owner, so you can share with what's going on with your clients. Nicole, I forgot to mention, I'll give you the heads up. You're on next as you're getting ready there. And but as for the KW Family Reunion, and there's a lot of other things and a lot of other tools. If you've not dove into the KW command on the Connect side, do so, because there's tremendous amount of material there that is relevant to our businesses, online and on demand, maybe more importantly, the on-demand training pieces. And if you want to learn how someone in, a little town is doing, hundreds of transactions, there's programs and videos and interviews and all sorts of stuff on how they are doing it. And you can jump in there if you want to learn how to do a CMA, or if you want to learn how to build your sphere of influence, which is really important. There's all sorts of different training in that KW command piece. So jump into that side of it. Good stuff. Okay. Nicole, how are you, my friend? As you unmute yourself, there's been lots going on in our mortgage industry. Maybe more importantly, lots going on with our economy that that we just cannot control, but we need to be enlightened. We have to have that insight so we can help educate our clients. And I can't think of a better person than you, Nicole, to help us do that.
Thank you. And yes, so lots going on. You guys know I'm always straight up with you and real with you. It's none of it is good, obviously, right? Like and the reality is that we have to deal with it, and we can't really sugarcoat it either when we're speaking to clients, right? They have to understand kind of what's going on, and without getting into sort of all the details of what's happening in the economy and the world, it all impacts us. And so, a couple things to take away from that is, as much as I hate focusing on rates, and you guys are always hearing me talk about there's so much more than, it's the products, it's all the, terms and conditions, it's everything else, but the rates are crazy right now. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. And one thing I'm hearing is that, I've been pushing out, and we've been detailing to everybody that it's really the fixed rate. So within the last, I'd say just week, maybe slightly more, we've seen a crazy increase in the fixed rates. And so it was initially between 20 to 40 basis points with most lenders. We're actually seeing that this week between 40 and 60 in some of them. So it's a really big jump. You guys know it's no secret, I'm a very pro variable rate person. I just, from the flexibility, even though there's all these things happening in the world and it's scary and it's somber and all these things, I still wholeheartedly believe that for most people, flexibility is key. And that's where, the variable rates kind of come into play. But one thing I did want to speak about is I also hear, and I've seen this on social and things as well too, where even a lot of mortgage brokers are talking about the fact that we're not seeing an impact to the variable rates, and that's not actually accurate. And so we We are not seeing it with respect to the Bank of Canada. So yes, we saw the Bank of Canada hold rates last week, and I could go on and on about what that actually means, but right now we're staying put, and so we didn't see any kind of change with the Bank of Canada. However, what we need to remember is that the way a variable rate works is that lenders provide a discount to a prime rate. And so if there was, and prime rate currently with most lenders, for example, sitting at about 4.45 with most lenders. And so just because there was no change to the policy rate and there was, in turn, no effect and impact to variable rates because the prime rate did not change, lenders are still in control of the discounts they offer on variable rates. And so we have seen a big change since last week in the discounts that are being offered to variable rates. So to me, it's a little misleading that I'm seeing a lot of information out there saying that, we're not seeing impact to variable rates. And so again, going back to there was no change with the variable rate. So yes, that is accurate. And there was no impact to the variable rates per se, but we also have to understand that doesn't mean that the discounts that are being offered cannot change. So we have seen an increase in variable rates as well, not nearly as drastic as the fixed rates, but week and a half ago we were seeing majority of lenders sitting somewhere around 3.5% with some variable rates depending on the type of mortgage, but definitely in the between 3.5 to high threes for sure. Whereas a lot of them are still now sitting low fours, depending on the situation, right? Whereas fixed rates now you're seeing at least 4.5% with a lot of the big banks, some of them even more. So it is a big difference. What does this mean for you guys as well, outside of the fact that obviously we don't like the increases, but what's really important is that we have been in a fairly stable rate environment for quite some time. And I know that sounds crazy to hear with everything that's been going on, but it has been fairly decent for the most part that, as a mortgage broker, we kind of have a really good grasp and understanding of what we can secure for your clients. But I want to remind you guys that when it comes time to pre-approval and you guys are working with your mortgage brokers or myself to secure, that pre-approval, the underwriting piece, so that budget that we come back and give you guys is the most important part. But most of the time, like if you've worked with me, you'll see you get a breakdown and I say, okay, hey, estimated rates based on this. Even if we are securing something tangible, a piece of paper from a lender that is, it's really only good for that rate hold because the lenders are not underwriting it themselves. If you've ever noticed or paid attention to it, the rates that we actually get from the lenders at the pre-approval stage in the current economy anyway and climate are never that favorable. So it's our discounts or our negotiating and things like that at the time of purchase that is really securing those more favorable rates for your clients. I can say that I have this conversation with everybody that I speak to, but what's important for the clients to understand and you guys to understand is that if you've worked with me, and I always tell you guys, send the listing before you put an offer in on a property to the broker or whoever you're working with. Because in an environment like this right now, the budget that was given to you a week or 2 weeks ago could very much be different right now, especially if it's an insured file. Because most of the time we're fairly confident that we're going to have certain wiggle room and certain margins that even if we give a bit of a buffer, we're probably not giving you a buffer of 40 or 60 basis points. And so when something like this happens that, we weren't necessarily predicting, it's really important that you are connecting with that because that budget might be different, right? So it's really important that you guys are at least, for the foreseeable future, checking in just to make sure, hey, you know what, Nicole, Gary, can you just, take a look at this offer, just let us know what the numbers are for this specific property. Again, that's something that you guys should be doing in my opinion anyway, but it's super important to do that now. But yeah, I could go on and on about this. I'm going to stop there. Gary, I don't know if you have any questions on that or you want to jump in, but yeah, I don't want to start going on and on.
I love it. And I started writing some notes. And of course, that last note that I wrote is send the listing to the broker, to Nicole, to her team for that review. And Nicole, I don't want to I don't want people to just see that, yeah, okay, that's a good tidbit. Yeah, and move on. That is so important. And I love that you said, that should be part of your workflow. Like the moment you get right,
It's standard. Like if you've worked with me, you will see that you get an email and I'm like, "Hey, we're ready to go. Happy shopping for so and so. Here's the budget. A few things to keep in mind. Minimum 30 days required. Sometimes I'll even say, "Hey, we've got to liquidate down payment, so we need 45 days, whatever the case is." In big bold happy face, it will say, "Send the listing prior so that I can review it." I tell the clients as well. But that may not be the process with it's not the process with everyone. I'm just going to be honest, right? So even if you know the person that you're working with is not saying that, if you're working directly with the bank, they will not tell you that. So make sure that you are taking it upon yourselves to just double check. If you weren't doing it before, please especially do it now.
And my friends, this is amazing, amazing little piece that you can add to your buyer consults. Sitting down with them and you're having a coffee with them and you're talking about the process. And one of the things that I always say when I'm sitting down with them, I'm sure you do this as well, Nicole, is we do this every day. This is like the back of our hand. We know it, and it's just part of our daily routine, and we buy and sell houses every day. You, on the other hand, as the buyer, you might buy a house once every 7 or 10 years, and things change over from year to year, month to month, and even week to week, as Nicole's sharing with us. If you can sit down with your buyer and say, one of the most important things that perhaps other realtors overlook is not sending the listing to the mortgage broker so they can quickly review it and give us that thumbs up, or we need to think about this.
And it's sometimes it's not even about like the rates and everything that we've just discussed right now. It could just be the language in the listing. I can't tell you how many, and I've said this before to you guys as well. Sometimes the language is geared towards, from a sales perspective to gather or gain that, kind of attraction to the listing, and it's not something that's favorable for lenders, right? So it could just be something as simple as that. But that small step will save a ton, and even just overall client experience, right? Because it's that much more uncomfortable for me if I have to come back to you guys and say, really wish I would have seen this before, because it's a problem. So even if it's just you guys sending a quick text or something to the broker.
I love that you said client experience, and you've heard me say this before, Nicole and my friends, is our job as mortgage broker, as a realtor, is not to buy and sell homes. I truly do believe our job is to provide our clients with exceptional experience that they go and tell their entire sphere of influence about us, right? And
100%.
if you can provide them with that positive experience or that seamless experience, as Nicole's talking about, your business will flourish. Nicole, you mentioned something, and I know this is a can of worms, and I think this is a good conversation to have, especially from us as representing buyers, and just as important, us representing sellers. You said the language in a listing can kind of derail or shift how a mortgage is approved. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, sometimes it's the smallest thing. I think you guys know, I've spoken about like the as is, where is, all those kinds of things. Sometimes there's certain disclaimers that just to cover yourselves from a listing perspective or whatever, you have to, like, certain information you have to put in there. But it doesn't always have to, like, sometimes it could be very subtle. I'll give you an example. One that came on my desk just recently, and it's a realtor that I work with on a regular basis, and I had to call her in and be like, really, you come on, like, I've told you this before. And it was something, we kind of joked around about it, but it was like they were really the market that they're kind of, that the appetite is more so for an investment property, which is totally fine, except they're highlighting the Airbnb rental income right in the listing. And that is going to be super attractive for the right buyer if they're like, "Oh, great. You know what? Like, this is already, kind of, we can, kind of estimate that we're going to be getting the same sort of revenue and all that kind of stuff." It is brutal, like, from a lender perspective. Like, that's just changed my lender pool like dramatically, so much so that I was like, can we change this? Can we, like, and anyway, like, we already ended up having an offer on it, so I'm gonna make it work. But I've just went now from some probably fairly competitive, much better lender offerings for that client to, this is what you're going to have to take, because of that language alone, right? So it's so important. And I think, like, again, this is where you guys have your relationships. Call up your mortgage broker. I've told you a million times, call me and pick my brain, like, even if it has nothing to do with me, because that small little tweak can make a big difference. There is no reason that you can't go and relay that information to the other realtor and say, "Hey, here you go. provide all that same information without really emphasizing it in the listing, right? So it's just have to kind of pick and choose sometimes what's more important.
You just gave me a great idea, and I'm gonna call you out and make sure that you add more to your table there, my friends. If you've got a listing just like that, or you're maybe it's a property that is aged and you want to sell it as is, and it needs a full on gut or reno, and it's old and it's weathered and everything else that goes along with that. Give Nicole a shout. What's the best way or the best wording so when we do get an offer, that buyer's mortgage gets approved easily, because it, as opposed to something I just might have said to attract some extra attention, and all of a sudden, because remember, our goal is to get that home closed, not to get people's eyes on it, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing. And I'm all about, you guys know me, I'm all about making sure that we're putting in the information that we need to, covering yourselves, all those kinds of things. But most of the time, there's a happy medium that we can work with that is, makes everything a lot, easier for everybody, right? And so that's where, yeah, it makes a big difference. And I always remind people and clients especially as well.
We're on the edge of our seats. We pay Rogers. That's a big inhale, Nicole.